Yay, good job. So glad we can play the remastered version of NHL 15.
It's just,
1 second.
that was actually a legitimate goal off a good pass.
Kind of a surprise, though, Ray. They haven't played very well at all, and while they have the lead, it's not been a game they're very comfortable with.
Moves it quickly over to Ott. Takes the bump, but still hangs on to the puck.
Please.
Dallas takes
Please
possession
go
along
middle,
the wall.
please.
And he scores!
Did he kick that in?
Wait a second here, Ray.
Yeah, this is good waved off on the ice. They'll have to take a look to see whether this is a distinct kicking motion or not.
Oh, it's gonna be
Coming back. It's coming back.
So
He kicked that right in.
If this puck is directed or kicked in, they ruled immediately.
Are you serious?
Puck in with a
Fucking
kicking
stupid.
motion.
You like the call?
I hate
That's a goal. We just scored that, and then they get that right back. He didn't even get a shot off. In the commentary, you're talking about how it was a miss.
Gutsy move, but it pays off.
How it should not have counted.
Nice pass.
Unbelievable.
Sends a pass over.
Get it and shoot
go
it!
back!
Why would you go back? There's 2 seconds left!
And the sound of the horn will wrap
Please,
things up for
next gen
period number
hockey.
2.
I get it, it's a computer, but come on, guys. I mean,
If they don't do anything for next gen hockey, I won't play this game anymore. I promise you, I'm done. Like, I'm out. They did nothing for us for 7 years on this. I'm out. If they don't do next gen and it doesn't dramatically improve. You have my word, there'll be no more.
I like club play games though, but it's just like, come on, make it like fair.
Stupid shit.
Like if we're better than them, like in this game we're playing better than them.
What, they wanted to add something in a patch where you can see little highlights before you resume the game? That's more important than fucking fixing the game that's broken?
Maybe you need to make a video with 1,000 views again.
Yeah, really.
Maybe then you can. Maybe then one.
John out here with you. It is Friday, November 6th. How are all of you doing? This is just a day after patch 1.20 on NHL 21. So, 6 years into this franchise on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, they still don't have any PC releases for hockey. We are still using the EA Ignite engine from NHL 15. It said that we're going to take the time to build the game from the ground up. It was next-gen hockey. Get ready to experience it in November. That was their big tagline, if you remember when I did that 6 years ago with that video. Nothing really has changed, okay? Now it's getting to the point where this game is just getting way too fucking stale. And I know it's running on an old engine, but what they've done to try to innovate this game is simply nothing. Going from NHL 15 and then going back into 16 and bringing back EA Sports Hockey League, that's not a new feature. That's just a feature that you've taken out. You know, GM Connected is not something that you've had since NHL 14. You're saying all the servers and everything else can't handle it. Well, now it's NHL 21, and you still don't have all of that stuff in there. The problems that you've had with this game, with puck pickups, just random bumps, just losing it so incredibly easy, and just having EA look at it, you can pretty much say, well, it looks like hockey. Well, if it looks like hockey on the outside, then it's probably good enough for everybody at EA to go ahead and make this game. But really, I don't believe anyone really goes and tests this game. Because any time, you don't even have to do a move anymore in NHL 21. You could just go right into the goalie, bump into him while you got some speed, and the puck will just magically fly into the net. Or just get a bump in there. And the commentators, as you saw within the first clip, the commentators will say, oh, that was kick with the skate, that was no goal. I don't like that call, Ray Ferraro says. But it's a goal in the fucking game. You see it counted on the screen, so the commentating doesn't even match up with the action that you see on the ice. You know, going from NHL 07, from the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, there wasn't PC releases at that time. I think the last one was the NHL 06 that was on the PC. You had the introduction of the skill stick, so the left stick controlled your player and the right stick controlled your hockey stick. It pretty much changed the way you played the game. It gave you full total control, and then you used the triggers to be able to pass, and you used the bumpers to be able to deke. It was pretty damn cool. Nothing has been like that since. I know 2K was making some hockey games, and the gameplay couldn't compete compete with EA ultimately, but the shot blocking and lane reading animations were ultimately better in the 2K games. Better then than they've ever been now in EA. It hasn't even come any close to that. Pretty much, the puck can just go right through bodies, and it seems like people aren't even there. It's kind of like how Madden is, when you got a ton of players on the field, but the football doesn't interact with the players there. It's kind of like how it is with hockey sometimes. It just doesn't make any sense. So the problems that I've had with this game before, as I mentioned, are problems that I've had ever since I've been playing this game on the Xbox One and PS4 hardware from 15 to 21. When you talk about EA Sports Hockey League, this year they've added some club finals and the ability to play outside. Well, you know, they probably could have already done that 3 or 4 years before that when they introduced all the mascots and the ability to play outside when you're playing threes eliminator or ones and stuff like that, but they seemingly just go ahead and put the assets in there now. And I know I hate to bring up Madden because it's a football game, but when I made fun of that stuff and you saw some of the stuff on Ryan Moody's channel, that Ryan Moody 21, he always talks about Madden. That's one of his life's work besides the job that he's got. You know, having the Seattle Seahawks logo on the Minnesota Vikings jerseys, having players' names spelled wrong. You know, I haven't seen a lot of that stuff in here, but in the very first clip when I see days to the club playoffs, really? You have the same word typed twice? You can't even just go ahead and fix any of the typos that you got in the game? I really don't understand what they're trying to do. And in this game, I think the gameplay is probably worse than it's ever been. And you say, John, how can you say that? Because you're still running on the same engine. Well, remember when we were talking about NHL 16? As soon as you cross the blue line, one of the infamous things in that game is you could shoot a low wrist shot to the left, and it would go right in and sneak by the goalie. Or you could be able to skate and spin for days. And I know my partner in crime, Nick Edwards, loves that. And I love it too, because you got to be able to skate and show your moves and display. But sometimes a little bit of that was overpowered in the terms of being able to go 4 or 5 times and shooting a wrist shot and watering it in the top right corner. Fine. I understand that. So now you go into NHL 21, and maybe all the times that people have bitched about a glitch shot, so to speak, when you bend the stick and you aim it to the left, or it used to be to the right in NHL 12. Now the big innovation for next-gen consoles is just go left. Wow, such a difference. So people would bitch about that because you can get the goalie to move and you can react side to side. But as I said, you bend the stick on the right stick there to be able to get the goalie to interact. But now, long wrist shots, long slap shots, rebounds, deflections, basically anything that normal hockey happens, any way to get a goal. So it'd be a long wrist shot, a slap shot, a long slap shot, a deflection, a greasy one. All that stuff essentially has been taken out in NHL 21. And you say, John, you know, it looks like hockey, it looks like the same thing. And I think that's what EA feels like. It looks like hockey, so therefore it must be hockey. Well, when you take away all of those things that you used to be able to score, and now it's just, you know, predicated with the cross pass. And look, I understand cross pass goals happen. It's a very high percentage goal. You get one guy going to the left, you get to the right, or you get one guy going to the right to the left. It's hard for the goalie, as you see right there, to slide over and save that. Fine. But what saved the game from before in the previous years was it wasn't just solely predicated on the cross pass. Now everyone's just going to the point where they at nauseum try to get this play over and over and over again. And I think EA knows that in NHL 21. So what do they try to do? They try to talk about AI innovations. Well, it's hard to make new innovations when you haven't changed your game engine in 6 years, but I digress. What they've done is they've pretty much camped all of the bots in the middle, so that way it tries to cut off some of these cross passes, but as you see, sometimes they're still impossibly wide open. So then, when everybody's camped in the middle, what that does is they'll take, as that was a beautiful goal there, off of a new animation they added. Had to interrupt on that one. What they'll do is they'll take all of the guys and they'll jam them in the middle, and then they'll force them to spam poke checks, because now poke checks are viable for the first time since NHL 12. They are back. So they'll spam poke checks, and the AI pretty much won't let you get any other shots, and any shots that you seemingly would be able to get, like those long wrist shots, are inevitably blocked. So when they're blocked, you inevitably try to cycle the puck all the way around. So you can sit and cycle in this game for maybe 4 or 5 minutes at a time in game time. And you know, it might look cool, but then really all you're ultimately doing is cycling over and over and over and over to get the cross pass, because your shots and everything else that you've done will not go in the net. Now, seemingly, as you see all these game clips, it might look a little different, but that's because I put some of these highlight game clips in there to keep you entertained. If you're going to go ahead and watch a game of NHL 21 as one of your friends play, as you're one of these innocent bystanders, you're going to say, holy crap, this game is a slog. It's pretty much a battle to the death to try not to be the one guy to turn it over, and then someone seemingly just clicks in the left stick or the L3 or whatever you want to call it to try to get a speed burst, hopefully get past the AI and get a goal. Now, with the poke check being brought back in, it gives the AI the ability to poke check. And when the AI already has the ability to poke check, it makes them increasingly overpowered. Now, EA can look at me and bat an eye and say, well, you always say the AI sucks. Well, now they can poke check better than any human, and they can also stop on dimes like they've always been able to do. So the AI is one of the most impossible players to get around inside the entire game that you're playing. So when they can poke check and they can break stuff up, it just makes it freaking impossible. But while they can do that, if you have enough speed, you can seemingly blow past them like nothing's ever happened. So you know what you should just do? Split the middle in the difference of there. Cancel some of those blow-bys, but you gotta lower that poke check there for the bots. You can't make them so good on defense in that regard, but then be so blatant by a guy that speeds right past them when they already have defensive position. And the other problem, now, I never seem to talk about this before in the other games because, as I mentioned, there was multiple ways to score. Now there's not. It's seemingly cross-pass predicated, and whether you want to believe that or not, that's the own thing for you to believe, but I'm telling you, it's there. That's the most predominant way to score in this game over anything else. Cash over anything else. So the problem now is, just like it's always been, is the AI. Even when they get right in front of the net, like 2 feet in front of the net, they'll still fucking shoot it over the glass, all the way to the right, over to the left. It's seemingly impossible that they do it because they're not shooting while moving. They're shooting at a complete fucking standstill, but they still miss the net like crazy. So now that they miss the net like crazy as they've always been, and you're playing NHL 21 and the only way to score is pretty much off of a cross pass, it pretty much ruins the game, and it's hard to get any AI help. It really is. So unless you're one of those teams, and I've played a couple of those teams already that are very, very good, that can seemingly get a cross pass at will, and if you like only scoring goals off cross pass, you will love NHL 21. But anything that's based off skill, or not just something that seemingly just falls into the net because you've done something stupid and the puck teleports there. So unless you get a lucky teleportation or a cross pass goal, you're going to love NHL 21. But if you want skill, if you want everything else that used to be brought back into the game that was even remotely fun and took some actual skill to do that, you're not going to find that in this game. So I want to talk about one thing that I do like before I close out this video, even though it does get very old, and you can notice this from the first game as you're seeing some Be A Pro action here. Obviously the graphics and everything else hasn't changed, but you have James Cybulski and Ray Ferraro getting some commentary for your Be A Pro. You go into the locker room and you ask some media questions and stuff like that. You answer some questions. You get some text boxes similar to MLB Road to the Show. That's how it is. So, is it fun? It's NHL 21, but with cutscenes after. That's what Be A Pro is. The fact that they've actually added in some cutscenes might give you a little bit of life and a little bit of leeway as far as playing a single-player Be A Pro experience, but make no mistake about it. Even in comparison to like Madden and FIFA and NBA 2K makes this NHL Be A Pro look like a kindergarten painting. And NBA 2K is not even that good. So this is one of the most outdated modes that hasn't been touched since NHL 15, and now it's finally been touched in 21, but at the very lowest brass tacks possible. But at least the mode's finally been addressed. But they're talking about You know, whether it's a season, the new trade deadline, which is pretty much like a mini game, which was completely fucking stupid, that was added in here. But that was the only thing that was touched in franchise mode and season mode. And even now they're talking about a new Madden season mode. Might not be in the new games. They're pretty much going to be done with season mode because they want to turn it into the yard. Well, they successfully monetized the yard in Madden, but they haven't done any of that stuff in NHL. But it makes me wonder if they're going to do that. And it makes me wonder, honestly, as we go into the NHL Next Gen, into the PS5 and the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X, is it going to come out next year because it's probably last in sales? And is it finally time to make NHL a free-to-play game if they don't know how to monetize it correctly? And look, I don't want to give them any monetization ideas, but at the same time, this game needs to run on a new engine. It's getting stale. It needs a facelift. It needs everything in all the way possible. This is probably still one of the most playable games of all the EA Sports games, but that doesn't say much of anything at all. This is John Ott signing out for NHL 21 Quick Hitter Thoughts. As always, let me know what you think. Peace.